Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story does come with a couple of warnings on it of death of a loved one and domestic violence as well, so if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description along the timeline below. Thank you. And it's titled, Am I the Arsehole for telling my fiancée a tattoo of my dead brother makes me uncomfortable? First time Redditor here. Okay, so for context, my older brother, 30 male, while I'm 29 male, passed away 3 years ago in a motorcycle accident. This fucked me up severely, and still does. He was my best friend, and we had that whole inseparable since we knew each other type shit, even if he was older. He was never the stereotypical older brother bully sort, and I loved him for that. Anyway, my fiancée, who I call Bella, is 28 female, and met him only a few times, but always said she admired our bond, as she has no real siblings of her own. Only step, but they aren't close. A few weeks ago, Bella surprised me with a fucking tattoo she got in memory of my brother. It's this pretty fucking big realistic grayscale tattoo of his face with a little Snoopy icon beside it on her upper arm, with his nickname we use, and his birth and death dates underneath. When I saw this, I was fucking stunned. She said she did it as a tribute to him and to support me because she knows how much I struggle with grief. Honestly, didn't know what to say at first, but the more I sat with it, the more it bothered me. I told her gently as much as I could, to be honest, that I appreciated the gesture, but found the tattoo really uncomfortable. Like, it's unsettling to see his face on my fiancé's body. Like it's too much, especially since they barely knew each other. She got upset and said I was being weird about a nice gesture and making her regret doing something beautiful. Her words. Now she's distant, and my mum thinks I should just be thankful someone loved my brother enough to memorialize him. But first off, I didn't ask her to do this. Now I'm stuck with a fiancé that won't even talk to me properly, and my brother's perfectly black and grey eyes staring at me whenever I'm laying beside her. And honestly, I don't even want to think of how horrifying having sex would be with that on her arm. Am I being unreasonable? Asshole-ish? Is it in my right to ask her to get it covered up or like zoinked off? I'm adding some additional details because I don't know how to respond individually. My fiancé and I both have tattoos, and many of them. I have smaller ones, she has bigger ones. To my knowledge, neither of us are mentally ill in any capacity, and we aren't on medication. Can't believe I have to write this. And ever since my reaction, she has been wearing long sleeve shirts in the daytime. At work, she has to anyway, but that's for home too. It's only during bedtime I really sit with her wearing tanks, and it physically hurts. Lol. Nah, if I'm being honest, that would absolutely freak me out at the same time. You know, that is a choice. Getting a big face of someone else's deceased brother without talking about it first, like I said, that's a choice. I can kind of get that her heart was probably in the right place. She probably wasn't doing it maliciously to OP, to hurt OP. But from OP's point of view and seeing his brother's face when, you know, when he's not comfortable with that, that's more than just weird. That's just painful, right? But on top of this, her getting defensive and giving you the silent treatment instead of understanding why this might mess with you whilst you're grieving, and she barely knew him at the same time. But I can't get over the process of sitting there, you know, because tattoos take planning. This is take planning going into the tattoo shop, discussing it, etc. And at no point along the way thinking, is this a good thing to do? Should I talk to my fiancé first about it? Wild. But OP says, for info, yes, me and her both have tattoos and plenty of them. And we're both the sort that like to have tattoos linked to good memories or experiences. Like my latest tattoo, 5 or so months ago, for my childhood dog. Though I'd like to be clear that I got a paw print with her name under it. A paw print. Not a whole portrait of her. My fiancé has similar ones that are larger in scale. So her forearm tattoo with my brother's face isn't half odd aesthetically. It's just my fucking brother. Also, to my knowledge, she's been doing fine and has only been bitter for a few weeks by my reaction. OP also says sigh. That's my mistake for not knowing anatomical terms. Just so it's clear, it's on the upper part of her arm, which I thought was the forearm because it's the arm attached to the rest of the body, and so the first one, forearm, like foremost? I don't know, that's my mistake. It's the upper arm though. Also, in case this comes up, I know the anatomical terms for my leg and torso because I do have tattoos there. Slightly clueless on the arms though, so sorry, but thanks for bringing it up. Opie also says I will probably ask for her to remove it completely. So I'm guessing there'll be a hard conversation and she'll expect me to pay for it, which I don't necessarily mind, but it sucks anyway. I was going to suggest a cover-up, but I read some comments saying it'd be difficult. I'm not sure, but I'll figure it out once we speak about it again. Another commenter says I don't think you should ask her to have it removed or covered up. She'll say you're controlling. I do think you should consider if this is the type of person you want to be in a relationship with at all. I'd break up with her if it were me. Opie replies that saying I did want to initially ask her to remove it entirely, or laser it off, but this is making me doubt it. On the other hand, if she does throw these accusations on me, I feel like I have sufficient grounds to call off the engagement and ask for a break, purely because I've known and loved this woman for so damn long and don't want to take the wrong action whatsoever. Opie also says I really wish she did ask because I would have said no a million times over. To my knowledge, she has dealt with death before, but with her mum's cousins and distant relatives. So I guess she's never experienced grief in a way that's deeply personal and close-hitting. I'm glad she hasn't because it's been 3 years for me and I'm barely intact. But it would explain why she did it. Another commenter says to OP, hear me out. Maybe, just maybe your brother has been in your spotlight for a long time and she wants to be, but doesn't know how to. So she goes out of her way to impress you, but unfortunately in an inappropriate way. Maybe something along the lines of this happened. Otherwise, I don't know, man. Opie says, hey man, these have been my thoughts exactly, though I'm ashamed to say it. Admittedly, I've been in over my head with grief ever since everything happened, and I feel like she did this to support me, but missed the mark in how she went about it. I don't feel like her actions were mentally ill or ill-natured because I know her, and I know she wouldn't want to hurt me intentionally, so this just might be it. Commenter says to OP, not the arsehole. That's a wild overstep on her part. It's one thing to support you through grief, it's another to permanently tattoo your brother's face on her body when they barely knew each other. That's not a tribute, that's weirdly possessive of your grief and your bond with him. You have every right to feel uncomfortable seeing your late brother's face on your fiance's arm every day, especially in intimate situations. It doesn't mean you don't appreciate the sentiment, it just crosses a line. She should have asked you before making such a huge decision involving someone so personal to you. OP replies in quoting saying weirdly possessive of your grief and says, I really like that. While I think my fiancé didn't have any bad intentions regarding this, it does feel fitting. Commenter says to OP, she's gonna have the whole family tattooed on her back. Bro won't be able to do it doggy ever again. OP says lol, laughed at this a little too loudly. So OP does come in with an update and says, hi guys, I don't know if anyone cares enough for this, but for the few that do, here's an update to the situation. After breakfast this morning at around 7:30, it's 10:34 as I write this by the way, I sat down, already was sitting down after eating, but yes, whatever, with my fiance and spoke about the fucking tattoo again. I basically echoed all the comments I've received, which by the way I'm so grateful for the most part because some of them were crazy. Anyway, I told her again that the tattoo made me very uncomfortable and wasn't the leap she needed to take to comfort or support me on my journey with grief, as I still had a firm belief that she didn't do this in a malicious manner. She was quiet initially and then asked if she could explain herself, and I said I was willing to listen. To summarize, she said she simply got the tattoo because she thought it would symbolize the extent she would go to love and support me, and said in that way had both people I love so much in the same place. Her words, not mine. She said she was sorry and that she wouldn't have done it if she knew I wouldn't have liked it. I asked her why she hadn't spoken to me about it prior, and she said it wouldn't have been a surprise then, which is what she wanted it to be. She also said, and I'm remembering this fresh and internally cringing as I write this, that the tattoo was meant to be a symbol of a new beginning because we're going to get married in a couple of months, and she wanted to turn over old leaves. I'm still stuck on what she meant, so I'd appreciate any word sleuths helping me in this. To wrap it up, I said I didn't want to end our relationship over this, and I really wanted to move on from it, but that she needed to either cover it up or laser it off, and she was, to say the least, not very happy about it. Said a cover up would be complicated and would take too long. Said laser might be painful and looks scary from the videos. Also said she likes how the tattoo looks with her other ones and asked if I'd be okay with her just covering it up either with clothes or foundation. I was as firm as I could be. Mind you, this is the woman I've loved for 5 years straight, so admittedly I'm soft. But I reiterated that I wanted it gone either by cover up or laser. She was quiet then, and that's honestly where the conversation ended. She already left for work at 10 and I'm going to start my own work now, as I work remotely from home after I finish this. Anyways, I hope this works out and I would appreciate any advice. I did read a comment that shamed me for taking this to Reddit instead of speaking with her first, so I will prioritize our communication first, but will hopefully keep this updated. Thanks for all the help for now. Someone asked OP, did you ask what she meant by turning over old leaves? OP says, I was going to, yes, but she asked to speak without interruptions, so by the time I got around to discussing it as a whole, I'd forgotten. I mean, I might totally be wrong here, but that turning over old leaves comment made me feel like she wants you to move on from your grieving process before the wedding and starting a new beginning. I mean, maybe she's just bad with words, but it was screaming that she was just sort of saying like, let's just move past this now, which for me is weird in itself. But OP did come in with another update and says it's final. I've broken up with her. I don't even know why I'm writing this other than to get some closure on this situation and maybe some support. I've read so many comments this morning and while it didn't go the way I or anyone anticipated, I've taken my decision though I'm struggling to accept it myself. Last night when Bella came home from work, I made sure to make dinner and asked if we could talk after dinner in the back garden. She said that was okay, but that she needed time to shower and unwind before dinner, so she'd be a bit late, but that I could start eating. I agreed and she went upstairs, while I ate the dinner I'd made with the TV on in the back. She came back down about an hour later, while I was winding things up and washing the dishes from earlier, and I offered to get her a hot plate and she agreed, saying she'd eat it on the couch in our living room, rather than the kitchen where we have a dining table, also where I ate. I said that was fine and I brought it over to her, and as I gave it to her while she was sitting, with her hand out to take it, I somehow managed to drop it and the hot spag bowl went all over her. I immediately apologized profusely and went to grab her some water and tissues and towels, but she just started screaming at me. I do not want to make myself sound like a victim in this, so I want to be careful with how I write this. But yes, she started saying that I did that on purpose, and that was punishing her for our conversation that morning and for the tattoo in general. I immediately defended myself as I brought over a damp towel and some tissues and said I knew I had a steady grip on the plate, so there was no way I had done that on purpose. Also saying that I always spoke respectfully and calmly to her about the tattoo situation, and I'd never escalate things like this. Things beyond are a blur, but we had a big fight and she broke many, and I mean many of our glasses and plates, even trying to pull off our cabinet door in our kitchen that was already not in good condition, and threw anything around her at me. By the end of it, I said I couldn't be with her anymore, and that this was the last straw, and left my parents' house. I haven't returned and haven't picked up any of her calls or messages. And I'm honestly afraid of what she'll do to my belongings if she so easily broke so much of the shit we bought together. I'm still at my parents' house and I haven't told them either, but I think this is it. This may be the last update because I don't know if I can focus on this when I have everything else I need to resolve. Thank you for all your comments. I really appreciate them, and I never expected this outcome. Peace and love to all that helped. Nopi says, final update. I've spoken to family about it and they asked me to try and have a final conversation to remedy this, and I rejected it. We'll be bringing my things back either tonight or tomorrow, depending on when she gets back from work, and we'll bring a friend with me. I'm more at peace with my decision now, so thank you for all the help. I'm so glad that OP didn't take his family's advice and have that final conversation to remedy this, because OP dodged a massive bullet there, immediately jumping to you did that on purpose over a drop plate, then proceeding to destroy all your shared belongings, throw things at you, abusive behaviors basically. And again, I think OP's making absolutely the right call when bringing a friend with you to get your stuff. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from White1010 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit and says, Am I the asshole for telling my husband he doesn't get to decide what I do with my body? I've been married to my husband for about 5 years. Overall, we have a good relationship, but lately we've been clashing over something that, to me, that feels like common sense. My body equals my decision. The most recent fight started when I mentioned possibly getting on birth control again. He immediately jumped in saying he didn't like how it changes my hormones and that I'd prefer I just stay off it. I told him that I respect his opinion, but at the end of the day, I'm the one dealing with the side effects of not being on anything. He doesn't get the cramps, the stress, the "oh no, is this a pregnancy scare" anxiety. When I said, look, it's my body and I'm the one who has to manage it, not you, he got really defensive and accused me of not caring about his feelings. To be clear, I do care. He's my husband. I listen to him, but I also feel like it's unfair for him to think he gets a final vote on decisions that literally affect my health. For context, this isn't just about birth control. He's also made comments before when I cut my hair short or when I considered getting a small tattoo. Nothing extreme, but enough that I'm noticing a pattern. I told him flat out, he didn't have the right to tell me what to do with my body. He said that was disrespectful. Now I'm wondering if I was too blunt or if I just set a boundary that needed to be set. So am I the arsehole for standing my ground? The top commenter to OP said, make him an appointment to get snipped. Since we are telling each other what to do with each other's bodies, I figured you wouldn't mind. Then says, edit, I'm fully being sarcastic here. In no way do I expect this man would ever give up his bodily autonomy like he expects her to do. Sometimes a shocking response will bring people back to reality and to a place where genuine conversation can happen. In all seriousness, you need to talk to him and explain the various methods of birth control that don't affect you hormonally. Conversation is always the first and best answer. Unless the person is incapable of such, then you have to weigh if you are willing to bend to their will on everything. And to the one who said, I'm a misandrist, you couldn't be more wrong. I love men, especially the one I've been happily married to for 30 years, who still lights my fire and can eat me with a spoon. Have the day you deserve. Oh, and because I'm a proper Southern belle, bless your heart. Hope he replied laughing and said, honestly, I thought about saying something like that. If he really wants to say in the process, then maybe he can volunteer his body for the procedure instead of micromanaging mine. Commenter says not the arsehole, but your body autonomy is not supported by him. On the contrary, he believes his feelings are more important and that you need to respect his decisions over yours. That included his control over your body. Get out before you procreate with this person. Hope you reply saying, yeah, that's exactly what's been bothering me. I love my husband and I don't think he's a bad person. But the pattern of him thinking he gets the final say over my choices is a huge red flag. I'm not planning on leaving over this right now, but I do feel like I need to make it very clear that my body is not up for debate. Hopefully, he understands that before it turns into something bigger. And after a little bit, OP did update the post and says, thanks to everyone who commented on my last post. Reading through the replies made me feel less alone about this and gave me some perspective. After that argument, things were a little tense for a few days. My husband didn't really bring it up and I decided not to push it right away. A couple of nights later, I started the conversation again, but this time in a calm way. I told him I'm not ignoring how you feel, but this is about my health and my peace of mind. If birth control helps me feel secure, then that has to be my decision. To my surprise, he actually listened. He admitted he reacted defensively because he felt shut out, but he also acknowledged it was unfair to expect me to handle all the risks and stress on my own. He still doesn't love the idea of hormonal birth control, but agreed it's ultimately my call. We also talked about the other things, like his comments about my haircut and the tattoo. I explained that those remarks made me feel like he wanted control over me. He apologized and said that wasn't his intention, and he understood why it bothered me. We're not completely perfect now, but I do feel like he heard me more clearly this time. For now, I'm making the choices that feel right for me, and he knows it's not something he gets the final say on. Honestly, that feels like progress. Not a full resolution yet, but definitely a step in the right direction. Commenter said to OP, terrific outcome. So glad you were able to talk it through. Thanks for sharing it and best of luck. To which OP replied saying thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm glad we're able to actually talk instead of just arguing this time. Fingers crossed it keeps moving in the right direction. And I think it's fair to say, after that update, there was just a lot of skeptical comments if he's actually changed or he's just playing the long game, etc. Some people were saying, you know, it was a good outcome, but what do you guys make of this situation? How did that one make you feel? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time, it always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly is absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.